Hey there, friends and followers. This week's video is none other than the monthly market update for the month of April. We'll dive into some statistics as well as some marketplace news to keep you guys in the loop. Stay tuned. So yes, as always, welcome back. So the real estate market has taken an interesting spin throughout the beginning of the spring season. In fact, between the risen prices and the interest rates that have followed, the momentum of the housing market has seemed to slow just a bit. Inventory we have seen climb back up quicker versus this time last year, and we're expected to experience year-over-year growth in that category for the first time in a hot minute via both existing homes and new constructions being made available at a rapid pace. We've also seen price drops become more common in the last 4-week period than we have when compared to last year and even in the months prior. According to Redfin's Home Buyer Demand Index, which measures both showing requests as well as other services, there was a sharp decline in the month of April, most likely due to the hike in the mortgage interest rates. Now, while this does come as some relief, we are still a ways off from a balanced market. With that being said, let's take a look at our area statistics. Looking at single-family home sales here in the Ocala, Marion County area, starting of course with closed sales. Now, closed sales we did see down in the month of April, coming in at 645 closed units versus that of March's 728. This still being a 20% decrease over what we saw in 2021 at 814 units. Sales volume as a whole, we did also see down $228 million versus that of March's $249 million. Average sale price, we did see go up just a bit, $354,000 versus March's $342,000. And median time to contract, we did also see take a couple days hit, coming in at 8 days in April versus that of 10 days in March. Average list price received on a given home, you probably guessed, remained at an even 100% from the transition of March into April. Now, jumping on over into the inventory, we did see pending home sales down 640 homes pending versus that of March's 734. New listings, we did also see down slightly, 604 new homes to hit the market versus March's 804. And active inventory as a whole, we actually did see come up, 738 homes on the market versus that of 701 in March. This being a 7% increase over what we saw in April 2021 at 686 units. Now, that MSI number, or month supply of inventory, we did also see replenished just a slight bit, jumping from 1.0 in March to 1.1 in April. Now, while hopes are high that a peak has been reached, keep in mind that the climb was certainly not overnight, as much as it may have seemed that way, and rest assured that the descent is going to follow in that same fashion. With that being said, let's jump over into some marketplace news brought to you, of course, by FloridaRealtors.org. First up in news, the Surfside condo collapse finally settles at nearly a $1 billion settlement. In St. Petersburg, just this last week, a tentative settlement had been reached in a class action lawsuit brought forward by families of victims and survivors of last June's condominium collapse in Surfside, Florida. Now, while still pending a final approval, the $997 million lawsuit looks to involve developers of an adjacent building, insurance companies, and other defendants. If you recall, the 12-story condominium partially collapsed on June 24th, destroying dozens of individual condo units and burying the victims under rubble and debris. Rescuers spent weeks digging through the mess, first to find survivors and later to recover the remains of those who perished. 10 days after the initial collapse, demolition crews used explosives to bring down the remaining portion of the building to give searchers access to additional areas where survivors might have been located. A total of 98 people were killed in the tragedy. This event had sparked new consideration for requiring high-rise buildings near the coast to undergo safety inspections on a more frequent basis. And last December, a Florida grand jury issued a lengthy list of recommendations aimed at preventing further instances, including earlier and more frequent inspections and better waterproofing. Up next, 2 South Florida women have been charged with lying and forging documents trying to capitalize on next of kin property inheritances. Investigators in the Broward County area say that these 2 swindlers would forge and falsify documents to cheat out the true heirs of deceased homeowners in an effort to steal their properties. In one instance, investigators say that they had persuaded a rightful owner to take only a fraction of what a home was worth and never proceeded to pay them anything. In a second case, they convinced a man that had just been released from prison and had the same last name as a homeowner that he was an heir, which he wasn't, and took a small cut on the sale, per what investigators say also. A fraud investigator for the Broward County Property Appraiser's Office said that they have identified 67 homes throughout the state that these 2 women had unlawfully obtained, adding up to millions of dollars. 21 of those homes being past the statute of limitations to prosecute them, unfortunately. Now, this problem that stems far beyond these 2 individuals can be tricky, as people have access to public records online to identify homes that have unpaid property taxes in hopes that there's not the rightful owner still living there, or they'll search the obituaries for people that have died and seek out their heirs who are vulnerable. If that wasn't enough, they'll also seek out false heirs who will go along with the ruse. Then they'll convince the heirs or fake heirs to sign over the house. There's even been cases where people were nearly evicted from their own home after people convinced a probate judge that the property was theirs when it really wasn't. In most cases, the theft involves the property of people who have died and the elderly heirs who are less likely to pursue complaints. And lastly, home sellers that do not get immediate offers or bidding wars are feeling embarrassed and angry. In this current seller's market, it's typical that many homes end up in bidding wars. Fierce competition is not only the talk of the town, but has also made many media headlines, with half of all listed properties typically staying on the market for only about 17 days, according to the National Association of Realtors. But home sellers with different experiences say that they've felt defeated and left wondering what could be wrong with their house. Sellers whose homes remain on the market may need to have a sit-down discussion with their real estate agent about the next steps to what they could do to renew interest in the home. Could their house be priced too high? Like I previously mentioned, many sellers are now having to drop their asking prices. A hot seller's market can lead people to believe that just because the house down the street had a bidding war and a fast sale, that theirs will follow suit. However, when reality falls short, in comes the disappointment. With the overall objective being to sell, let go of the time frame. The home will sell when it's supposed to. And heck, if it takes a little longer, that's certainly okay. Well, there you have it, friends. That has been the market report for the month of April. As always, if you guys would like any further clarification or have any questions on the content contained within, drop a comment below, shoot me off a message directly. I'd love to hear any input that you guys have on any of the situations that I speak about. As always, slide on over to the page, give it a like and subscribe to stay up to date when great videos like this are released regarding the Ocala, Marion County area residential real estate market. As always, thanks for tuning in, checking out the videos, and we'll catch you guys on the next.